Joining me right now, great pleasure to welcome New York Times best-selling author. His previous book, Rule Number 1, did so well. He's got a brand new one out now that continues the information on how to invest and make some big money, we hope. It's called Payback Time. Making big money is the best revenge. We're joined now by Phil Town by telephone today. Phil, good to talk to you. How have you been?
Hey, man, I'm doing great. I'm having a ball out here. This part of writing a book is really fun. You know, you see the book hit the bookstores, which you did yesterday, and it's number 1 on Amazon today or yesterday, and it's climbing. You know, it's really kind of cool watching it.
I like to ask people that we interview. I mean, on our end, it's fun to talk to people like yourself, but you're probably answering the same question 100 times. That doesn't get boring, does it?
You know, it's almost never the same question because everybody's got a different take on it. But you know, it can't be too boring because I spent a year writing this book, and I love the subject. I mean, I love the idea that it's now possible for the little guy, for the first time in history, to actually go out and invest like the Warren Buffetts of the world and do even better than those guys do, because we have the advantages of being little and insignificant. So it's like, yes, finally.
Well, what I like about reading through it and your story, which you talk about in the book, I mean, you were a tour guide, I believe, and you weren't making great money. You enjoyed your life, but you, at one time, I guess you figured, well, you have kids now and a family. You got to start making some real money, and you kind of did this on your own, didn't you?
Yeah, I had this huge advantage. I nearly drowned a guy in the Grand Canyon. One of the guys who I was doing, and he said, "Okay, man, I owe you. I owe you for saving my life." I never told him that. You know, I didn't. I screwed up and nearly killed him. But he took me under his wing, and I apprenticed to him for a year. And that year I put in really changed my life. I went from being a guy that I owned a pair of jeans and a couple of T-shirts, and everything I owned would go inside of a little black bag. And then, as you said, you know, you get a family, and you start thinking, "Holy smokes, I gotta man up here. I gotta do something else, and I don't know how to do anything else." And then he taught me to invest, and I just made a commitment that I was going to really learn this and really do it right. And I went from almost zero to $1 million in about 5 years, and then it just kind of went from there. So it can be done. I did it. I encourage everybody to think positively about this, and I'll tell you right now, with all the chaos in the market and the economy, is the best time I've ever seen to invest in the 30 years I've been doing it. And I'm not blowing smoke. I wrote this book because this is the time when an investor that knows how to do it will set themselves up to be worth millions of dollars down the road.
Do you think what the economy went through in the stock market, which a lot of people felt became kind of a rigged game, do you think now it's cleaned out enough where people are going to have the confidence to do what you talk about in the book, which is buying individual stocks as opposed to maybe group funds, right?
Well, I think first off that the funds thing is a massively rigged game in ways that were unintended. First off, you got to pay the guys who do the funds, and they get paid by taking 1.5 points off the top, which is in effect about 20 to 25% of your potential profit, and it removes over a 40-year period of time about half of your retirement money. So it's not a good game to be in. And if you're not going to learn how to invest, then I recommend you learn to buy indexes instead of mutual funds because they don't have the fees attached to them. Now, the other thing about this game, though, is that once you realize how it's played, you can re-rig it in your favor as a little investor. And here's what I mean by that, Doug. It's like the marketplace is like somebody who's bipolar, because 85% of the money invested in the market is managed by these big institutional guys, and they control the price of everything. Mm. But the problem is, they're like guys in a really crowded theater. If they want to get out because they think the theater's on fire, and they start running for the exit, the exits will get jammed and they'll get trampled. And so they can't get out quickly. They have to sneak out, and it takes them 6, 8, 10, 12 weeks to get out. So they get very scared when things start to happen that they don't expect because they can't liquidate. So here's how we re-rig the market. First off, realize that when the market, when we've got this partner out there who will sell us stuff or buy stuff from us, who's bipolar, and who usually prices things correctly, but sometimes doesn't when they're off their meds. Sometimes they start to get really exuberant and crazy, like in 1999, in 2000, again in 2006, 2007, just crazy what they were paying for stuff. And then they get really depressed, like the sun's never going to come up tomorrow kind of depressed. and they'll sell you those same businesses for a quarter of what they paid for them. And this process of the market moving from greed to fear and back to greed again is precisely the process, when you understand it, that'll make you rich.
My dad was an investment banker, and his advice always was, and he'd heard this in the banking industry, buy companies that are good. And in down times, they're still going to be good companies. Doesn't mean the company all of a sudden went bad if the economy goes down. And I think you advocate the same thing. You're just calling it maybe a different term, stockpiling, right?
Yeah, I call it stockpiling, and I do want you to buy really good companies. I think that's the heart and soul of great investing. And then what I want you to do is add one more thing to it, because I don't think it's that hard to find great companies. The trick is to not just buy them all the time, like some automated computer buyer. What you do is use your brain a little bit and think, okay, the market is going from 14,000 where it's overvalued down to 6,000 or 6,700 when it's undervalued. Surely companies are doing the same thing because that's what the market's made up of. So that means that some really good businesses are on sale. And if you buy them when they're on sale and sell them when they get way up in that upper market, that's how you make these high returns. And so that's all I teach you in Payback Time. It's exactly how you use the free tools that are on the internet to go out and find great companies and then buy them and when they're cheap.
I think no better time than this for this particular book to come out. We've been talking with Phil Town. And Phil, you have a website you want to direct people to?
Yeah, paybacktime.com. I've got a couple of tools we put on there for free for you guys, so you can calculate the numbers without having to have a calculator and figure it all out. And we point you to websites that are free so that you can get out there. And we also, we give you a chance to come to a workshop that we've been doing for around the world. I've been doing this workshop, and we charge $3,000 for it. We're going to make that free to book buyers as well. So we're really trying to get you guys set up for the next 10 years. And I think right now, hit it hard for the next year, and you're going to be in great shape.
Phil, great to have a chance to talk to you. Look forward to doing it again. If you're in our Tampa Bay area doing a speech sometime, we'd love to have you on again. Thanks for being with us.
Hey, Doug, we'll do it for sure. Talk to you soon.